Welcome to another exciting episode of Double D's Let's Talk About It, the sports podcast that touches on all your NFL news and everything in between. We are your hosts, Damian Deshawn and D. What's going on with you today, bruh?
What's going on, bro? How you doing? How you doing?
Nothing much, man. To be honest with you, I didn't talk. I talked with you offline already, but still recovering from the vacation trip. I ain't lying. It was wild and it was hectic. And I tell you one thing, New York City drivers are wild. I'm gonna leave it at that, man. It's wild. I mean, I ain't never seen so many asshole drivers in my life. And we live in Georgia, and all we hear about is Atlanta. But Atlanta ain't got nothing on the Eastern Seaboard, boy. It's wild. They do not care.
Look like y'all had
Rain.
fun though.
Yeah, we did, man. We did. We went to the Museum of Natural History. Got a lot of pictures and photos. We took some stuff from just driving around, being able to go and see. We didn't get to see like the Rockefeller Center stuff, but Central Park, all that stuff, all of those things, and just tapping in with my wife. Like the day we arrived up there, every time we get there, I forget how close where she's from is to New York, with it being
Mm-hmm.
Newark, the oranges. And it was so misty that day we arrived, and you couldn't see nothing. That when it finally cleared up, and we went, I was like, "Damn, New York is actually there." And you could see the whole skyline. You couldn't see nothing, and it was wild, man. But yeah, we had a great time. The boys enjoyed themselves. We hit up a lot of course, the food scene. We got to do a little touring and driving, Holland Tunnel, stuff like that. Got to see a lot, a couple of little landmarks here and there, man. But how did with the boys being in spring break? How did your week go this past week?
It's been busy now, finally being able to move a little bit after surgery. So
Yeah,
trying to get that going, physical therapy and stuff. But the time that you take vacation, we got all this news, this master trade and all that. So
yeah.
so
So man, we might as well go ahead and start digging into it, and we can start off, man. As I let the ticker roll by, man, we're gonna just hit it with Buffalo and the Diggs trade. Man, that trade really kind of blew. It didn't catch me off guard because we discussed it and you mentioned the possibility, and we did say Buffalo's window seems to be on the decline as far as being a Super Bowl contender. I mean, they may make the playoffs, but this is like one of the first kinks in the armor right here, proof of what we've discussed. And I'm gonna say it. We're gonna make it a short because I'm gonna have to go back in the archives and find it where you said it, and we're gonna have to play that replay so it can be known and shown that this was said here on this podcast that something like this was getting ready to
and it was
happen. And
before free agency started.
yeah, yes, that this was getting ready to happen, and you could see it coming, and you could see that Buffalo's window is closing. But the situation seems to be bigger than just needing to come off it for cap space because I mean we heard rumors of relationship situations in the
Yeah.
locker room with Diggs and maybe a strained relationship with Allen. And with the number one wide receiver and the quarterback ain't on the right page, somebody got to go. And typically, it's going to be that wide receiver. If the franchise deems, okay, I got a franchise quarterback, we can find another receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think Diggs ends up in a great situation. Uh, you go ahead and kick in and elaborate on that, man, because you can go in depth with it a lot
So first off, I had mentioned it like you said when we did. I want maybe our second video after the Super Bowl. I want to say,
more. Yeah.
um, but I said that just seemed like it just seemed too perfect in my mind. But as free agency was going on, I started thinking maybe they wouldn't trade Diggs because they were already in a cap situation.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo took the highest cap hit in dead money by trading him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they didn't get anything this year, so you can't even replace him. You got a second round pick next year. They gave up Diggs and two picks this year
Mm-hmm.
for a second round pick next year. Houston, you can say he robbed them. Buffalo kind of gave him away, but as a Colts fan, but I've been saying it. When we did all of our videos, when we went through
Mm-hmm.
each one, I said Houston was the team, and that was before they had Diggs. You put in Diggs, and what they did, I really love what Houston did as far as his contract. Yeah,
Yeah.
4 years. They voided the 3 remaining years, so he's going to be on a 1-year deal. They gave him some of his signing bonus, $3 million or something. So they gave him a little bit more upfront money. He's not paying state taxes. He's 3 hours away from his brother. He's playing in a dome. He has a better accurate quarterback. In my opinion, Buffalo's Super Bowl window is closed.
It's done.
They took their shot. This is the thing. Buffalo, they reared back. They took their biggest shot against the Chiefs and missed. They swung the knockout punch. They missed. Their window is closed. You're not going to expect Josh Allen to do more with less. And I was looking, I was actually watching ESPN this morning, waiting on my physical therapist to call me back. They lost 9 captains. They lost 9 captains. When you look at what the Jets have done, building around Aaron Rodgers, if the Jets are healthy, but again, I stated this puts the Jets and the Patriots to be able to be in the driver's seat of the division. Really, the Patriots from 25 on.
Yeah, long term.
Because the Bills, like I said, the Bills, they didn't only just lose Stephon Diggs, they lost Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
As the season went on and Joe Brady took over, they did a lot more 2 tight end sets. So are you going to run the ball more? Are you going to run the ball with Josh Allen more? Are you going to turn Josh Allen into Cam Newton now?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But Houston, when you look at what Diggs did when he first got to Buffalo, a hungry Stephon Diggs with Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon, and the offensive rookie of the year, coupled with the defensive rookie of the year, Daniil Hunter, Azeez Al-Shaair, and they still have moves to make. They're loaded with cap space. They're loaded with draft picks. Like, they are really set, and I can't stand it as a Colts fan.
They getting ready to run that division for a while.
For a while.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, we're in a position where we have to kill the draft now. The Colts are in a position they have to kill the draft. Anything for your terms that you've been saying it every time we talk about the Eagles. When we get to the draft for the Texans, the rich are just going to get richer.
Yeah.
The rich are just going to get richer.
This ain't nothing but more ice. They're
going to have so much depth now as well. They're going to have so much depth. But a good thing for your Cowboys, possibly, Diggs could be teaming up with his brother in 2025.
And we don't know about that because you got so many money situations.
Right.
Before we even slide to Dallas, Buffalo. Obviously, you're thinking that they're going wide receiver now with their first pick when they draft this year. I mean, they got to replace that. You lost Gabe, and now you released Diggs, or you traded Diggs. So you got to replace both of these wide receivers. You still got some things in the defensive side of the ball you got to address. I mean, you can see where it ain't looking good, and it really looks like, okay, they're a fringe playoff. They went from a surefire playoff team now and division winner with Diggs, and even with the other problems they have as far as adding personnel and needing to fill some positions in need. They look like a team now that's now on the fringe of finishing third in the division. Because Miami is still not, Miami's still a threat. And that's something else we'll touch on too. I didn't put it on the ticker, but we can touch on something in Miami news. It looks like we're going to stay in this division for a little while.
Right.
Buffalo, it looks like Buffalo's going to be behind Miami and the Jets right now. Going forward, I would still say they're a fringe playoff team, but now they're falling back to the pack. Well, now you got 3 fringe, the representatives from that division. It's a 3-team race right now, and all of them are fringe playoff teams. Buffalo, like you said, the window's shut, shutting or shut, and they're falling back to the pack. And it doesn't look good. But I'm going to ask you a question. Seeing where they pick, because I don't remember, where do they pick in the draft?
28th, I think.
28th. Okay, wide receiver deep draft is obvious. Who do you think they go with? And we'll lead that into for Friday when we do a mock draft 3 rounds.
I don't know. And here's the thing, though. With the cap hit, with the cap hit that they took, they were already in a bad space cap wise.
Mm-hmm.
So like I see people talking about, oh well, they got to trade for T Higgins now, or they got to trade for Brandon Ayuk. You can't, because they're gonna need to be paid. You're not gonna have the money to do so. And if you look at 28, are you gonna get the sixth best wide receiver? Do they try
to be a number one? Yeah,
right. To hope he's your number one, because you got to think you need multiple. You have to leave this draft with multiple receivers. They picked up Curtis Samuel, who's more of a gadget player. He can play, but he's more of a gadget player, and he's hurt a lot. Khalil Shakir is a smaller guy. A.D. Mitchell, maybe Keon Coleman.
Wow,
those are two bigger body guys. Xavier Legette, but do you take him in the first round? You see what I'm saying? Like, they are in a position. And the thing is, with the Panthers needing, the Lions could use another weapon.
Yeah.
The Panthers will be in need of a weapon. The Chiefs could use a weapon now, especially with the Rashee Rice situation. So, like, there's no telling. Like, do they try to trade up? If they do try to trade up, they're going to have to go into next year's draft capital.
Mm-hmm.
Do they try to get up and get them Brian Thomas Jr.? You're not going to get up to get one of the top three.
No.
The ones that you know, or neighbors, you're not going to get
the ones that
look
like
guys.
surefire number one guys, right? Yeah, I mean, everyone else is a fringe number one to an elite level 2, possibly, that's left on the board, unless somebody always comes out of nowhere and becomes a 1,
right?
But that's a crapshoot. So they're not in position to get the 3 guaranteed that are 1s, which is Ndunzie, Harrison, and Neighbors that are 1s. They're in a stuck position, but we're not going to stay on them though, because we already done discussed them enough, knowing that the window's closing. They made their decision. But I wanted to touch on something I didn't put on the ticker and we didn't mention off in our meeting. Miami, Tua, that 200 what million?
Yeah,
280 million. Is that what it was reported?
Oh, did they sign him?
I believe so. I don't know what the guarantee was. I believe it's mentioned on the ticker. I would have to look it up real quick, man, but I don't remember the details. You looking it up now?
Yeah, I'm trying to look right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact contract details, but I believe they did sign him to a new deal. But yeah, man, I found it interesting to find out if that's the money price. 5th-year option on his rookie contract Monday. The 24-year-old is now contracted with the team through 2024 season. He would be guaranteed $23.2 million for 2024. I'm trying to see. It was mentioned, but I'm not sure.
Excuse me. I think if anything was mentioned, they were talking about that. Will they sign him? Because I think this is the final year of his rookie deal, so they'll have to see if they will. Excuse me. But even if you look at it, Tua fits that offense. Does he fit that offense at 200 something million, 50, 55, 60 million a year? Because that's really going to be the next numbers. The next guy up, that they're talking about Dak 60 mil. And we'll touch on Dallas. It's not on the ticker either, but it's something that we'll touch on. But that's why I say, like, Miami's window is going to be closing too, because they got Javon Holland at safety.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming up for a deal. Jalen Waddle's also coming up for a deal. As well as Tua.
Yeah.
As well as Tua. And if I'm not mistaken, Tyreek said this is going to be his last deal. When he's done, he's done.
He's done. Yeah. He ain't got nothing else to show for it.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, but Miami, things right now, because Miami was also cap strapped, but they had a solid free agency. If they are able to fill some positions, especially on that offensive line, it could be their division. But they'll have to get more physical defensively, because they were not really. I think Dallas was the only playoff team that they beat last year.
Yeah,
so they'll have to get more physical with that. But that's why I say it's kind of with what the Bills did. It's, to me, it seems like the AFC East is the Jets to lose.
Yeah, you could say that. You could
barring
say
health. Barring health. I mean, and right now that's all we have to go off. So all 32 teams, based off of where we're at today on the 9th, are fully healthy. If they're all fully healthy, the Jets have a solid roster.
The inside tracks to really be, you're right. I mean, the door is open for that division. It's a 3-team race. We can say that, unless the Patriots come out of somewhere, because we don't know.
They beat the Bills without Aaron Rodgers last year.
Yeah,
they beat the Bills without Aaron Rodgers last year.
I mean, their defense is thorough, and they got a strong running game. Just continue to improve the line a little bit and keep Aaron healthy. I don't see why they couldn't be at least a 10-win team.
Exactly.
10-11-win team. I like the Jets. They are in a good position. They do got a lot of young key pieces too. So, but we're gonna go on and take it and go back. We're gonna roll it back to the big Lone Star State, and we're gonna stay there because we touched on Houston a little bit. We might come back to them, but the subject matter in which you sent me a message on with Club Shay talking to Ocho. And they dabbled in the situation with Jerry Jones, the history of how the perception of how he loves his players and how he treats his players versus the reality of a lot of those players get long in the tooth, and Jerry basically Uncle Phil's a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? You know, you see the door open, and next thing is you know, it's out. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, being a Cowboys fan, I've seen it over the years. You never really pay attention to it, but you always look at the patterns. You know, me as a Cowboys fan, I'm gonna be unapologetic. I am a Cowboys fan, but I'm not gonna apologize and make excuses and be one of those delusional that they label a lot of Cowboy fans. I don't fall in that category. I'll be the first one to say, and I probably make a lot of enemies of Cowboys fans, but I am sick of Jerry Jones. But what can we do? He owns the team. He's not just the GM. He's the owner. You can't get rid of it. I've seen this show before because we've seen him do it. I saw it with Al Davis and the Raiders in his latter years. And, you know, the glory years long gone. He's constantly trying to get it back. But are you really trying to get it back, or are you just trying to fill seats? And ironically, as I shared with you, Al Davis was real close and a good mentor to Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones is following the same blueprint. And Dallas is going down the same blueprint that the Raiders went down in Al's later years. But getting into this Micah situation, we discussed it, and it's been put out there, which we know. I agree with what Shannon and Ocho said about it, this being fodder and just a bunch of bull crap, basically bullshit, put out there to kind of deter Micah. Micah's from Philly. And like I said, I just came from that area. My wife's from that area. It's a hard nosed area type because he's always gonna be straightforward and very confident. That's just the way they are in that part of the country. That's just their moniker. You know, that's how they are. So I can understand it. Now I will talk about the business side. I'm gonna let you elaborate on it some more real quick, and then I'll get back to talking about the business side of things and then the personal side with Micah. But you care to elaborate any more on this before I get to that part of the subject?
Yeah, I didn't think anything of it. The reason why I sent it to you is because we've had conversations on here talking about the Cowboys, and you said you would. You even said you would trade him. You would trade him, and right now, Micah, Dak, CD, all three of them are going to be due for a deal. It's been reported that Jerry Jones and Dak have agreed that they're not going to even talk extension. They're just going to let him play out the rest of this year, the final year of the contract, just like they're going to let McCarthy coach the final year of the contract. There will not be no extension until after the season if they choose to. It's been reported that CD is going to hold out if he's not paid. And now you have this issue with Micah. Micah's your best defensive player. I don't care who he's bothering, who he's pissing off. He's not doing anything illegal. He's not bothering to a degree. If you don't like what he's talking about, or if you don't like the way that he's saying things, like that's on y'all. Jerry has created this freaking atmosphere for these players, and Micah, regardless if he understands or doesn't understand what comes with having a star on his helmet, he's young. He's gonna say what's on his mind, like you said, from where they're at, from where he's at as far as the part of the country. He talked about if Dan Quinn left, maybe he would be taking him with him and all that stuff. So I mean, I think Mike is more along the lines of like, I'm gonna speak my mind. It is what it is. Like the worst thing you can do is trade me. Somebody will pick me up. Worst thing you can do is release me. Somebody will pick me up. And you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna
Yeah.
do that because he balls when he's on the field. He does what he's supposed to, and
Mm-hmm.
he's not getting in any trouble. So
Yeah.
I really think it's BS too. I
Yeah.
really think it's BS too. But like I said, the only reason I said it to you because you said that you would trade him, get as much value for him now while you can, because he is going to be when it's his time, which either this year,
He's gonna
before the
demand a high
season,
dollar, man.
he's going to be the highest defensive player, highest paid defensive player.
Yep.
He'll
Whether
be the
it's in
highest
Dallas
paid,
or
yeah, or
somewhere
somewhere
else.
else. Yep.
Yeah. And the reason why I say this, and I'll say it for our listeners, if any are Dallas fans, it's not because I believe I have a problem with Micah.
Right.
I'm looking at it as Jerry has set it up to where we're going to have a hard fall. So I'm saying Micah allows you to build capital to weather the storm that's coming. With Dak, CD, and Micah, trading Micah would give you ample amount of picks. I mean, you could probably finagle a Herschel Walker type of trade that happened.
He's
That end
24.
up exactly that
Yeah,
would
so, yeah,
build. It would basically build the roster to be competitive long term. You see what
right.
I'm saying? Because right now Dallas is in that short term. I don't know if the window was ever open, but whatever window was open is closing. The
Yes.
playoff window is getting ready to close because Philly is there. You can see what Washington have in the second pick. You see the Giants where they are, even though they have situations of their own with the quarterback, they're younger in a lot of key spots. Dallas is getting older in a lot of key spots. Have let some veterans go. They're older on the offensive line. You know what I'm saying? So
With
I mean, yeah, with holes, and the younger guys that they have some, Weston Smith. They still have Smith who's there, but you still don't know the state question. Do you kick him out or keep him at guard?
right.
So it's so many holes there. But on the business sense of what I was going to touch on with Micah, the business sense is, yes, I personally as a GM of the Dallas Cowboys would probably trade, but I'm going to ask for a ton
A
back
ton.
because I do value Micah, but I'm looking at the logo and the franchise, and
Right.
it sucks because the owner, which I have a problem with, created, as you said, the environment that they're in. You got certain players in that organization that are entitled, and he's created the atmosphere of entitlement, not hard work. You know, I heard it. I can't remember. If I could, I would give credit to this podcast, but they mentioned and they made a great point. The teams of the '90s that were built under Jimmy Johnson, they had a workman's attitude. Even though there was some flash to it, there was a lot of blue collar mentality to those Cowboy teams of the '90s. Since
All that
then, it's
this all they
all a
do
bunch of
now.
fluff. It's a whole bunch of talk, and it's no substance. You don't have a lot of hard hat guys there. Personally, I would have kept Dan Quinn last year, and I would have hired Dan Quinn and let Mike McCarthy go after last year. Um, but these are the kind of opinions and I have and the decisions I would have made. On the personal side with Mike, I've already touched. He's a guy from the East Coast, man. He's from Philly. He's gonna talk. He's gonna speak his mind. I have no problem with that. I also agree with him that why are you not using him? He's not Lawrence Taylor, but why are you not moving him around to match what he can do? Because he has the capability to change the game in so many different variables. I mean, you could put him at linebacker in the middle. He can rush the A and B. You can put him at edge. I don't understand it. You maximize a player like that. You wear him out instead of letting him wear himself out, continually rushing after the left tackle.
You wear
You,
him out. You don't let the offensive
offensive
line wear
line
him
wear
out.
him out.
And that's what's
Exactly.
been happening. Yeah.
And that's what's been happening. They're not maximizing what they could do. But then again, I have to ask that question: was that on the head coach's decision, or was it the coordinator at the time, who was Dan Quinn?
I think it was the
Did he?
coordinator
Yeah, I mean, he didn't maximize
at
what he
all.
could do with Micah. So I mean, what do you do there? For me, I don't know. I don't even know what to do draft wise. I'm at the point now. I thought I had the answers, but with everything going on, I'm like, okay. I personally thought offensive line, but I don't know. I really don't know what to do. I do know if you're not going to trade Micah, then you got to let that walk. I believe that because you got to get up under the cap. And
So
you're going to have to take hard lumps to get up under the cap to build yourself back up. If you want to save the franchise from having a 10-year drought, you got to make a tough decision on some of this, on this personnel.
Here's something while you were on vacation that came up regarding the Cowboys. And I'll talk about it for a minute and get your viewpoints on it. But like you said, if you're going to pay Micah, which you're not going to let him walk, you got to let Dak. You're going to have to let Dak walk.
Yep.
What's kind of been, I guess, floating around since we're getting closer and closer to the draft, what if they take Michael Penix, allow him to sit, let Dak walk at the end of the season? Now you're on that. Now you have that rookie quarterback contract. So now you're able to build around and sign the players that you need. Because you got to think, you just signed Trayvon Diggs. You got to sign Micah. You got to sign CD. If you're going to keep Dak, you got to re-sign Dak. Zach Martin wants his money.
Bland's gonna want money.
Bland's gonna want money. Are you gonna keep DeMarcus Lawrence? You lost Stephon Gilmore. You lost Leighton Vander Esch. You lost Jonathan Hankins. You got hold. This team, and that's the thing. I already told you. Dallas fans bother me because it's like every other team you can look roster to like player by player, position by position, and Dallas is like, well, nope, they got a star in their helmet. They're gonna be in the Super Bowl. That hasn't happened in a long time. The thing is, you're going to have to try to do something different. But Jerry Jones is just so stubborn. I don't see Dallas winning anything, and I'm not wishing death upon Jerry or anything like that. As long as Jerry is being Jerry, and we know as long as he's on this earth, he's going to be Jerry, they're not winning, in my opinion. So you touch on that. What do you think about that being floated out there about drafting Michael Penix and letting Dak walk?
When you first mentioned to me, the first thing I thought about is, what in the hell did you trade for Trey Lance for then? You know, if they were to go that direction, I mean, unless they're thinking about trying to draft him with their second or third pick, which I don't think he would be there.
I don't think so either.
Definitely not the third pick, and they'd be lucky to get him there in their second round pick. They would have to basically reach and take him in the first round to be able to secure the fact that they got a quarterback. And I don't think they're going to do that. But let's just hypothetically say they did that. Then I'm asking the first question, why in the hell did you trade for Trey Lance and give up a draft pick? Or give up any kind of capital? What sense did that make? It makes absolutely no sense to have done that. I mean, it's like, the more I think about it, though, it's like they got more holes to fill than I even thought. Because you need running back, linebacker, open offensive line, defensive line. You thought you fixed that. I'm not throwing the kid out, but I'm throwing him under the bus because I just don't like it. Anybody that forget what they left in their storage and left millions of dollars worth of stuff in the storage, you heard about that, all his Michigan stuff, valuable stuff, and he just careless. I don't understand that. You know, I didn't trust the pick in the first place. I've shared that before because every time the last Michigan guy they drafted, Taco, didn't work out. So when they drafted him, I'm like, why'd y'all do this again? The only exception I would make would be Chris Jenkins from Michigan because his dad, he had his pedigree and tutelage. So it ain't just Michigan. It's okay. He's been bred to play this position, so he's gonna get good evaluation. But anyway, answer your question though, man. As I said, I would take Michael Penix. I like the pick. I like the position. It's the only question I would ask them. Well, what were you doing last season when you made the trade for Trey Lance? What was the purpose of that? Don't say you're trying to build a backup because you already had a backup. This guy, you brought Lance in, and he's sitting on the bench as a third string. I mean, most teams only going to keep 3 quarterbacks, 2 in an emergency. So he was basically emergency. So what did you do? What was the purpose of that? Were you hoping to develop this guy? Maybe it was something you saw there that San Francisco didn't, or just the whole Purdy thing happened, and so they just came up off of him. Is he a bust? Can they resurrect him? I don't know. Well, he's just sitting there now as what? And he's no longer an asset because people think the thinking now is he can't play.
Right.
Everything they're saying about Fields that's wrong should be applied to him.
Right. He's never touched the field. He's never touched the field. Even when he was in college.
They drafted him based off of what, junior film? He didn't even play the final year and they took him. I'm like, what are we doing? So when I say that, I'm saying, what is the Cowboys doing trading for him? I've heard rumors that they may be looking for running back early. I'm like, do not draft a running back early if you do not have guaranteed offensive line. And if you think you're going to bargain shop for linemen,
absolutely,
it's crazy. Not. You're not getting no lineman bargain shopping. Not nothing that's going to be able to seriously contribute. Retread.
I saw Jonathan Brooks mocked to them in the first round, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense because you're going to draft an injured running back to put behind a porous offensive line. You couldn't run the ball. You couldn't run the ball last year with your offensive line. Now you lost your center. You lost your left tackle. If I'm not mistaken, they lost a guard too.
Yeah,
right guard. So you still got.
Who was it at right guard? Okay, I know it's Martin at right guard, Steele at left. Right tackle.
No, you still got Martin.
Yeah,
so you either got both guard. Well, and Steele at right tackle he's questionable too. Yeah. So I mean, it's not like you have a solid offensive line. You do have CD, but you let go of Michael Gallup. Is Brandon Cooks? You didn't feature Brandon Cooks last year, so he's kind of just there.
Mm-hmm.
Ferguson played well, but again, you don't have a running back. So that's how many holes is that on offense? At least a second and third wide receiver.
You didn't mention the biggest hole though, bro. That's left tackle.
Yeah, I was about to say left tackle.
Yeah.
You got your center. That's 5 holes on offense alone. I think they only have 5 or 6. I think they only have 5 draft picks, if I'm not mistaken.
I have to look that up too. I can't remember.
You have 5 holes on offense. Defense, you're going to need. You have Trayvon coming back from a major injury.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to see how that pans out. You lost Jerron Kearse. Jerron Kearse is a free agent. You lost Leighton Vander Esch, Jonathan Hankins. DeMarcus Lawrence is getting old. So that's at least 4 or 5 holes on defense as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking around with 9 to 10 holes on your whole entire team. And the only person you brought in was Eric Kendricks, an older linebacker who played well with Zimmer in Minnesota. And that's another thing. Zimmer's not going to have no exotic blitz packages and things like that. So is he just going to line Micah up at defensive end and have him rush?
Vanilla. No creativity. You already had it. Yeah, we just mentioned that about being more creative. Dan wasn't as creative with Micah, but he's a hell of a lot more creative than what they had.
Right.
And they let that window close. But I just saw the picks here. They got their first pick. First round is 24th pick. Second round, the 56th pick. Third round, 87th pick. They do not have a 4th round pick.
Okay. Because that was the Lance. They traded that for Lance.
That's why I was talking about. You gave up a 4th round pick for this kid. It may look like nothing to some, but that 4th round, you usually get a lot of your core players in that round. A lot of depth pieces and stuff are built out of that round, but they have a compensatory pick, 173, the 5th round, 216 in the 6th round, and they got 2 7th round picks. One of them from Vegas at 233. So they got 7 picks, but I mean, you basically got to do your work at 24, 56, and 87 because you're going to sit around with the round 5. You're gonna sit out a whole round where usually some steals are sitting there in the 4th round.
And this and we'll talk about it more Friday. This is why I was kind of bothered by having to rush my last mock on D's Corner. But I'm working on one just going off the website, but creating my own template and everything. Yeah. Because this draft is extremely deep. And for a team like Dallas, this should have been the offseason to put you over the hump. I think going into the draft, they have more questions in April than they did in January.
Yep.
And that's just my opinion. They have more questions on their roster, coaching and everything, in April than they did in January. Look what the Eagles have done. They don't have very many questions.
Nope.
Washington has started to sign players, get depth players, and they have a ton of. They still have a lot of money, and they still have draft capital. But look where their draft capital is. If for some forsaken reason they wanted to come off that second pick, the haul that they would get, Dallas, you can't even trade that because it's going to hurt you cap wise.
Put it this way: this year's quarterback draft is a hell of a lot better than next year.
Way
if Washington
better.
wanted to come up off of that second round pick, they can accumulate a hell of a. They can demand 2 first rounders, or at least a first and a second. 2 first rounders and maybe like a third or fourth. In the upcoming drafts, because you look at next, because you look at next year's quarterback class. It's not great. I mean, your high guys are like yours, maybe Shedeur Sanders, stuff, but those guys in this draft would not go in the first round. In this year's draft, they're not going in the first round.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Well, your high level guys next year wouldn't even be high level guys in this year's draft. That's where you have to stand back and look, and you're like, what are we doing here?
And you're not gonna get a high level free agent quarterback next year either. So like Dallas, I don't understand this.
I don't know what they're doing.
I think Dallas is just gonna be stuck with that.
Yeah.
12 wins here, 11 wins there, 12 wins here, first round knockout.
You remember that door at the end of remember the Titanic movie, the door? That is where I put Dallas at, with that door. They sitting on that door and they're doing
trying not to drown.
Yeah, trying not to drown. Man, I'm trying to find my little plug here so I can hook it into my computer. So you saw me fiddling around.
You good.
But you keep elaborate a little bit more now before we close out. Touch on Houston a little bit more while I look for that. All right.
Man, Houston, like I said, won the trade itself. But if you look at their offseason from the very jump, Danielle Hunter, love the pick. You put him opposite of Will Anderson. I like the Aziz Al-Shahir pickup at linebacker for what he's able to do. If you go back and look, he might not have played the best in Tennessee, but go look what he did with D'Amico Ryans in San Francisco. He is a hell of a linebacker. They already have Derek Stingley at one corner. They brought back Desmond King as their slot, Jalen Petrie, Jimmy Ward in the secondary. This defense was already tough last year.
Mm-hmm.
They boosted. Danico Autry is going to be a run-stuffing defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Their flexibility of what they have defensively, just defensively up front, is going to be great. It's going to mirror New York. It's going to mirror San Francisco for what they have as far as the rotation pieces. Then they have linebackers that can fly to the ball. Christian Harris, Aziz Al-Shahir, Henry Toto. Their secondary is nice. That's just defense. Then when you go offensively, Laramie Tunsil, probably the second best left tackle in football behind Trent Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Then solid offensive line. Picking up Joe Mixon, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Schultz. You can literally spread everything out. The thing that hindered Houston this year was a running game. Yeah. They're going to have a rushing attack now. And they have Damian Pierce behind Mixon. You can trade him. You can possibly trade him, or now you have a nice 1-2 punch.
Power.
They traded their first round pick to the Vikings to accumulate an additional second round pick this year, and the second round pick next year that they traded for Diggs wasn't even their pick. It's Minnesota's pick. It's Minnesota's pick.
Crazy, man.
They killed this offseason. Then when you look everyone's thing pertaining to Stephon Diggs was, are they gonna get the malcontent? Are they gonna get this? And she gonna be doing this to CJ and this and that? I don't believe so. I don't think so because CJ has already proven, bro. You see what I did last year. I'm putting that ball wherever it goes, wherever it needs to go. That's where I'm gonna put it. Make the play that you need to make. See, and the thing is with Stephon, if you look the past couple of seasons with them. Every time it was like a critical situation, Stephon was double. So you're going to Gabe Davis. He's just straight down the field type deal. There were a lot of throws that Josh Allen, he has the arm, but he doesn't have the touch on all the throws. CJ has both. CJ's not going to be throwing in Buffalo weather. They're playing in a dome. Like I said, you're literally 3 hours away from your brother. And they're dynamic. Their father died. Stephon was pretty much took on the father role. So like you're around family, people to help you stay grounded. You're going to be playing in an environment that's going to hold you accountable. They're not going to be up for that. There were talks about Sean, the coach. I can't think of his last name off the top of my head now. It was right at the tip of my tongue. But anyways, he said something about like the Twin Towers. It was like trying to get them, rah-rah or whatever. But DeMeco's not that kind of guy. Like DeMeco is a football guy through and through. They were showing a play when they played the Browns. He pulled Christian Harris aside. Hey, when he does this, beeline here, you'll pick the ball off. Sure as hell, the next play, bam, he did it. DeMeco is so freaking smart when his X's and O's are phenomenal. But the thing that I think people fail to realize, and I'm gonna try to be brief and quick with the rundown. Baltimore lost coordinators. Not only everybody's gonna lose players. Baltimore lost coordinators as well as players. Cincinnati lost their offensive coordinator. T. Higgins wants a trade. Who else? Pittsburgh. They'll be operating with one or two new quarterbacks this year. So that chemistry has to come. Houston has done nothing but add to what they had last year. Their offensive coordinator, he started taking head coaching interviews, then he shut it down. He's now coming back with all of his players and two additional pieces. Stephon Diggs, who's a veteran, as well as Joe Mixon, who's a veteran. All the terminology will be similar, but Stephon Diggs is a route technician. Tank Dell, someone who can burn and do dirty work. Nico Collins, the big-bodied wide receiver. Stephon can be the possession guy. You still have Dalton Schultz. This offensive line is solid. And we're, 2-3 weeks away from the draft. And I think they have like 8 or 9 draft picks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's such a deep draft.
It's crazy. They got 8 picks. Second round 42 from Minnesota. Second round 59. Third round 86. Fourth round 123. Fourth round 127. Sixth round, they're going to 2 fourth rounders right there. That's where they're going to make their money. Sixth round 188. Seventh round and 238, and seventh round 247. I mean, I'm looking at it. You got 2 first round picks in a draft like this. I'm gonna tell you this, in my gut, I know they're going defense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason. With you getting Diggs now, you have no reason to really reach for a receiver. No other offensive weapons. I mean, unless you're looking for something it has to be exceptional. That's just fell in your lap.
But the thing about it is, like, one, we already know the value of the running back position is diminished. So this year, I don't see any first round running backs. That's going to push a lot to the second round. The kid from Louisville who had the phenomenal
Quindo,
used to play at Wisconsin.
Yes.
God. Yeah. With his speed, his size, his physicality could be a nice 1, 2, 3. Or if they trade Dameon Pierce, the kid Jalen Wright from Tennessee, a speedster. Change it back. There's so much that they can freaking do that it's scary. This is why I said this is the team If there's any that can knock the Chiefs off from starting their three-peat, in my opinion, it would be them.
His team. Yeah.
Because they have everything. Chemistry coming back, additional players, and they didn't just add like BS players. They have dogs. Danielle Hunter's a 15-sack guy, opposite of Will Anderson, defensive rookie of the year. 2 bookends. Where's your quarterbacks going? When you the thing about it is, to get to the playoffs, you have to beat your division. We know that Indianapolis has a mobile quarterback. We're going to chase him down with them. We know that Jacksonville has a mobile quarterback. We're going to chase him down here. We know that Tennessee has a mobile quarterback. We're going to chase him down here. Derek Stingley is a shutdown corner. I know a lot of people. I posted a video on D's Corner. And somebody commented said that to beat the Chiefs, you have to have a shutdown corner. The Buccaneers didn't have neither shutdown corner. They had corners who could play, but they got after the quarterback up front.
Exactly.
This team is going to get after the quarterback up front. Derek Stingley, and the thing about it is, there's ways that you can maneuver. You can take your number 1 corner, put it on their number 2 wide receiver, and shut aside the field down, and bracket and double their number 1.
Exactly.
You can get after the quarterback with your front 4. You have athletic linebackers. You got 2 athletic safeties. And you still have all these draft picks where you could get even more.
Okay, so before we get to our closing, because we can close out now. No, we're good. But I was going to ask you this question when you mentioned that. I said defense. Could you see them probably going with another corner to add added depth there? I think that would be perfect. A nickel corner, another nickel, or either that. The reason why I say that is, like you said, you brought up Kansas City, and I was thinking about what we discussed with Kansas City and their tackle issues. That's where, like you said, I can see that's where Texans could bring a lot of problems with what they have on the outside with Anderson and Hunter. The reason why I brought up the corner situation is when you start going into multiple wide receiver sets. Kansas City they line up in multiple formations like that, but it's all window. We know it's all window dressing just to find maybe 2 reads, and that's usually Kelsey and then Rice. But we don't Rice or what's the other one name? I can't remember.
They got Hollywood Brown now.
Yeah, Hollywood now. Which he definitely can take the top off, but he's not a big body wide receiver. But what I was getting at is asking, do you think the Texans could go in that area? I was trying to think, where could they go? I know they're going to go defense, and I was trying to think of their personnel. They could either go up front in the interior again to add depth there, more depth, or go back in the back secondary. I think they're straight at linebacker. Their edges are straight. Anything else, like we said, is cake. So they're just adding depth. But if you could get with the 42nd pick, you can still get a high-level defensive tackle, and it's a decent corner draft. I mean, we know players like Quinion Mitchell and Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid, and what's the other one from Alabama? Tyrion. They're most likely going to be up. They're going to be off the board, but you still have some good corners going later into the rounds that you can get that can play that Nick, like you said. If Stingley's bracketing, it's locked up one-on-one with the second wide receiver, you bracket, you can get that. Usually means you're taking that one-on-one corner and that safety help, and they have solid safety. So I don't know who their slot corner is. Who's their nickel cornerback?
Desmond King.
Okay, and he's solid.
He's solid. I think I can see. There's a couple things. Okay, so Kool-Aid has a foot injury. If I'm not mistaken, I think he still ran a 4.4 at his pro day with a foot injury. So he's gonna have surgery. Let's say that pushes him down to that back end. They have 2 second-round picks. They could go up and get Kool-Aid. They could trade up and get Kool-Aid. He's from D'Amico's from Alabama. Yeah, he's an Alabama. He is a
Alabama guy. Yeah,
go get him some. He has Alabama players. Henry Toto, Christian Harris, Will Anderson.
Yeah.
Go get Kool-Aid. Yeah. Go get Kool-Aid and look how this team now turns out. Now you have Kool-Aid who can match up with Calvin Ridley and Stingley who can match up with D-Hop. Those two are both older. Michael Pittman and Alex Pierce or Josh Downs. Now you have two corners that can go there with them.
You're right.
They have Desmond King who can play nickel. Jimmy Ward is a safety, but when he was with San Francisco,
he can slide down.
He also
plays.
He can also play nickel. Jalen Petrie, he can also play nickel. So when they go out there with 4 or 5 DBs, they're technically having 3 interchangeable pieces at safety and nickel who can all play everywhere. Kamari Lassiter, Max Melton, TJ Tampa. There's other players. I don't know if I'm frozen or not. It looks like frozen on mine.
Yeah, you're a little bit frozen. But we keep it rolling, though.
So, like, there's so many players that they can freaking operate with that it's just – I think that's probably where they'll go. I think that's where their first pick will be a corner.
Yeah.
In my opinion, unless they go out and get Xavier Howard. I think the Chiefs or the Texans, in my opinion, you're hearing it here first on Double D's podcast. I need to start saying that because a couple of things that I done said done happened. But in my opinion, those are the 2 places that I think. He played at Baylor. He wants to be in Texas. The best team in Texas right now is Houston.
Yeah.
He wants an opportunity to play for a Super Bowl. That's Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my 2 teams that I think would benefit him the most. But if they go out and get Xavier Howard, they are in a position to let the draft fall to them or make even more trades and get more capital next
year. Yeah, because they wouldn't need necessarily,
and they don't have to pay CJ for at least 2 years. So you have him at least for 2 more years. More than likely, they'll pay him in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what they're doing with the draft. They have enough depth and numbers with draft picks to make sure that if they lose a Danielle Hunter, they can replace this person. If they lose this one, they can replace it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they come a long way from
They've come a long way.
Deshaun Watson situation where they look like a dysfunctional organization. And now they look like a blend of what the Patriots and the Packers did for the last 15 and 16 years and how they ran the organization. I mean, they are set up to where they can build so much depth that they can let the players develop. Those players they have starting, like a Danielle Hunter, who's not old, but he's in his prime now.
Exactly.
They don't necessarily have to hold on to him in the future if they have his replacement already lined up and drafted and developed.
He's only on a 2-year deal too.
And he's only on a 2-year deal. Yep.
And that's the thing. He's on a 2-year deal. Diggs is on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
They know that they'll have to pay Stingley. They'll have to pay Tank. They'll have to pay CJ.
Anderson eventually too. Anderson will fall under that Stroud.
And Anderson. Yeah. They'll also have to pay Will Anderson.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz already paid. Laramie Tunsil's already paid. The offensive line's already paid. Yeah. Everyone else is already taken care of. And you could definitely see one of those wide receivers, maybe 2 of those wide receivers within the next 3 years, probably be gone. And that was a question that I asked you. Do you think or do you feel the way wide receivers are now because they're coming out of college and playing? They're hitting their stride almost like instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to look like how it did with the running back? Not that it's going to be devalued, but is it going to be like, hey, we don't necessarily need a Tyreek Hill?
You know what? That makes sense. And I'll answer this question and we'll close on this, bro. That makes sense if your quarterback, going back to Cam Newton, is he a game changer or game manager? If you got a game-changing quarterback, you don't have to have a dominant wide receiver corps. You got one good – because a dominant basically, let's put it this way. Pat Mahomes is operating with a bunch of 2s, 3s, and 4s. Maybe this year he had a number 1 tight end, but he had a bunch of number 3 wide receivers and 4 wide receivers. And he won a Super Bowl with that. So that's the difference. We got to find out, is Stroud that kind of guy? Now, he's proven in his rookie year he like that. But what level of like that is he? You know what I'm saying? It's a difference between like that Mahomes and like that Dak. You see what I'm saying?
Well, see, I think Stroud's like that. I think he's like when you watch when he played against Georgia, if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't get hurt, I think they beat Georgia that year. But
yeah, I believe so. But they still had an opportunity. But yeah, I get
they did.
Yeah.
What I think people sleep on with Stroud is he can move too. But the thing is, when you look at CJ last year, Tank Dell, look how small Tank Dell is. Nobody expected Tank Dell to be that guy. Yeah. Nico Collins wasn't a rookie. No one expected that out of Nico Collins. So, and that's the thing. Is he becoming? This is what we talked about with Caleb Williams. And I'm sorry I keep going, so I know we got to close up.
No, you good.
But this is what we talked about with Caleb Williams. Can he come in? Can he fit? Become one of the guys? And does he make the guys around him better? I believe CJ does that. I believe the system that they have CJ in works well with CJ. And the reason why I say I feel like CJ's like that, CJ went into Cincinnati. They gave him the ball. He went and beat Joe Burrow. They were down in Tampa Bay. The ball was he had the ball last. He closed out the game. CJ can make the plays that need to be made, and I think CJ got that dog in. What we're gonna find out with Buffalo, and then this is my last little piece on the whole Diggs thing. What we're about to find out with Josh Allen, are you truly a game-changing quarterback? Or did you have game-changing talent around you? Because we know he doesn't manage games well. We know he doesn't manage games well. He takes on way too many risks, in my opinion. But Diggs leaves Josh Allen, goes to CJ. CJ could definitely be in the MVP conversation next year.
Yeah, he could. He can. Definitely, man. Well, as we prepare to close out, we'd like to thank everyone for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Don't forget.
Also, check out. You see it down there. Also, check other content that we're working on. Definitely tune in and tap in with D on D's Corner. That's D's Corner. Y'all tap in with my man. He stays on it with the NFL. And like I said, I have some things working for my FSU fans. No nonsense is coming. I'm building my intro and my page as far as what I want to do. It's coming. It's going to be real interactive for the fan base. Just give me a little time. We really do appreciate everybody. Make sure once again to like, share, and subscribe. And peace out, everybody.
Winner.